All right, welcome back. I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest today, Jamie Rauch, Coach Jamie as he goes by now. Jamie grew up in Houston, Texas, where he swam for the Fleet, the Cypress Fairbanks Swim Club, and Cypress Creek High School. He won 5 Texas State high school titles and was a multiple-time All-American. He continued his swimming career at the University of Texas, where he was an 18-time NCAA All-American and a member of 2 NCAA team championships. Jamie represented the United States internationally on 3 occasions, including winning a silver medal as a member of the U.S. 4x200 freestyle relay at the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney. After 15 years in finance, Jamie finally saw the light and got back to his endurance athletic roots. Swimming isn't the only thing Jamie knows. He's also an Ironman Kona and 70.3 World Championship qualifier, Boston Marathon qualifier, and ultramarathon competitor. He's been coaching triathlon and swimming for 7+ years. Jamie is also a dedicated husband and father of 2 who are involved in sport. So he's got that sports dad hat on as well. Jamie and I were teammates in Sydney swimming the same event, 4x200 freestyle relay. And it was such an honor to sit down and catch up with him and hear how he's taken his experience as an athlete, not just as a swimmer, but also as a triathlete, and pulled that into his parenting. And so there's so much wisdom in here. I found myself at times pausing and really just soaking in what he was articulating, because it was putting some language to things I've experienced but hadn't quite had the ability to name yet. So I know you will love this conversation. I'm pumped to share it with you. So here we go. Let's do this. All right. Welcome, Jamie. I'm really pumped for this conversation and grateful that you're taking time out of your day to be here and to share with this community. So thank
No,
you.
absolutely. I was excited when you invited me, and hopefully, I expect to learn more than I teach anybody for sure.
Oh, yeah. So, well, let's start with stretching it back to your roots and your
Yeah.
cultural upbringing and background and how you feel like that's shaped how you see the world today.
So, I mean, my family was really tight knit. My parents, I grew up in Houston, Texas, in the suburbs,
Mhm.
but none of us were from Texas. So my mom
Oh,
grew
okay.
up here in Chicago and then in Cincinnati, Ohio. My dad grew up just outside Pittsburgh in a town called Steubenville, Ohio. And so when I was really young, moved to Houston, we were pretty isolated.
Okay.
Didn't get to travel back to see people very frequently because money's tight.
Mhm.
And so the 4 of us were very close, and we spent a lot of time together. And for me, that's kind of been my goal as a father and husband also, is that the 4 people that I share this house with are by far the most important people in my life. And as long as I have that situation worked out, we can all kind of do a good job other areas of our life as well.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. Was it work that brought you to Houston as a
Um,
family?
uh, yeah, so my dad worked in steel mills all through college. So he was a
Yeah.
metallurgical engineer. Then he started
Yeah.
working for a steel company right out of school, and they transferred him to Houston to sell steel to oil patch in 1980 or 70.
Yeah.
It was like 3 months after I was born. I don't know anything other than Houston, Austin, and Chicago. Those are the only places I've lived in my life.
Okay. Yeah. So what role did sport play growing up? So when you're growing up in Houston and you say like visiting now, I'm like, Houston's just this like massive sprawling, like
It's
what part of
ridiculous,
you?
right?
It's
Yeah,
so
so
big. Yeah.
the part of Houston that I grew up in would not have been considered Houston when I was growing up there. Far
Mhm.
northwest suburbs, at least 20 miles out of the city.
Okay.
Um, my wife's actually from Acton,
Yeah.
and it's very similar distance from Houston as Acton is to Boston.
Good.
So we talk about it all the time. Like, we grew up in these places, but not really. We grew up in
Yeah.
these suburbs really far away. But when I was like, Compact Computers was founded like in the neighborhood next door, and so the area that I grew up in like boomed when I was young, and
Hmm.
now it's just a massive, like, it's like the third biggest school district in the state. It's just a
Oh wow.
massive, massive suburb of strip malls and gas stations and neighborhoods.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
what role did sport play? Or was it always a part of your life?
Sports was everything. Even
Yeah.
before I was playing sports, sports were a big deal. Like, we
Yeah.
watched sports religiously. I remember it being like a big deal when we got cable and the Astros were on every day in the summer, and like
Yeah.
these were things that mattered a lot to us. I
Hmm.
The '84 Olympics, I remember vividly, like
Hmm.
watching the Olympics, caring about that, going out in the front yard, having somebody hold a broom so you could high jump over it. You know, like way before I was ever a swimmer, like these things like appealed to us. And then I always talk about like the summer of '86 being, or I guess the year of 1986 being like a big sports year in my home. For whatever reason, like the Super Bowl shuffle and the Bears and that Super Bowl, like I remember that very vividly. And then Jack Nicklaus won his last Masters that April. The Rockets beat the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals and then lost to the Celtics in the finals. And then the Astros played the Mets in the NLCS.
Big year for Houston.
Huge year.
Totally, yeah.
It was great. So it was so fun. And, you know, from then on, it was sports, like baseball cards, basketball cards, playing sports, the whole nine.
What ones did you try? What did you play and try? And like, when did swimming become the one?
Oh, wow. I tried everything. Swimming, I remember like my parents were just completely kind of dumbfounded by the heat and humidity. And there was, so the idea of running around in baseball pants in the summer, like this is ridiculous. So
I was just thinking that actually while I was in a nice cold hockey rink on a hot summer day, thinking of softball parents. Yeah.
It's so funny. So, and a neighbor kid was on the neighborhood swim team. And so we got thrown in the water when I was 5. Water safety was already a big deal. My mom grew up around lakes. My dad grew up going to pools, so we could already swim. But that was the first time I really got thrown in a pool to swim competitively. But at that point, I was 5, so I played like YMCA soccer, and then baseball and basketball were, I guess you kind of consider them house leagues now. Like they were the school district put on leagues. And I did all those things from. Well, soccer didn't last. I wasn't very good at soccer. And baseball, I played like 3 years of baseball, and I played basketball up until 7th grade.
Okay.
And I played a bunch of golf with my dad and brother, like just like screwing around, neighborhood stuff mostly.
And that being accessible then, right? Now that's one of the things that's popped in these conversations is like the shift to more club based, like the falling away of the house league town teams and things like that. So, and then when did you start swimming from summer league? Did you go right into year round?
No, it took a while. So the summer league that I grew up swimming in was just this massive, it's a really, really cool, big summer league in the northwest side of Houston. So the Northwest Aquatics League, and it was a big deal. So it had all of my attention from age 5 until 8. And then the club team that I swam on growing up, Cypress Fairbanks Swim Club, also known as the Fleet, came and did a demo at our pool. And I was like, I would like to do some more of that. And so I started swimming year round. I think either probably right when I turned 8.
Yeah.
And then that was so kind of cool. And then from there it was just forever. It just never stopped.
Well, did you carry your dreams of like that inspiration from the Olympics and watching professional sports? Like, did you know you wanted swimming to take you somewhere when you were younger, or was it something? Yeah. So take us into if you can remember that space as a kid.
Yes, but like in this horribly dumb way, right? Like I don't mean that, like just like not having any idea what that actually meant, right? But so if you're swimming, like Janet Evans and Matt Biondi in '88 were like my heroes. Like, that was such a cool deal, and like it was just a big deal. And I was like, I would love to do that. I would love to be one of those people, but not. And at that point, like swimming 4 times a week for an hour, like just like not having any idea the sacrifices that those people in those pools on that TV had made to get to where they were. What
was under the surface? Totally, no clue. But the dream was inside of you. And
for
did
sure.
you know? Yeah, and growing up in Texas, was Texas on your radar as a place to go as a young swimmer? I mean, it's just so legendary. Yeah.
So just because the time I was growing up, right? Like, so Texas won the 4 titles in '88, '89, '90, and '91. But I wasn't like cognizant of college swimming until probably I was like 12. And that's when Stanford took over.
Yeah, I was going to say Stanford.
The Jeff Rouse Stanford teams were a big deal. Also, Skip had come from Houston coaching. So he coached at Dad's Club on the west side of Houston. So that was kind of like a big deal. And so my whole goal through school was to make sure I made good enough grades that I could go to Stanford. That was like, if I get to be a good enough swimmer, I want to make sure that I made good enough grades so that was an opportunity that I could take advantage of.
That's awesome. I love that. That was also, so same with Jenny. That was I wanted to go
Yeah.
to Stanford and then become a doctor, just like
Yeah.
Jenny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So fun.
But she's
So,
the easy person to emulate, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Or want to emulate. Not an easy
Right.
person to emulate, but an easy person to want to
To
emulate.
be inspired by, for sure. So what was your trajectory? So for those listening, because in this space, right, I love to pull in people that are experts in different fields that are related
Sure.
to sports. Then there's athletes that have hit that high level as yourself. Then there's the parents, and then coach, and you've got like every bucket checked. So you can decide where you take it, but taking some time to like speak to your experience as an athlete and that kind of ascent from doing it because you loved it. What role were your parents playing at that time that looking back, you're like, like I'm going to pull some of that, just like the core crew you reference, right? Having
Yeah.
a sturdy home base. What were some of the ways that they showed up for you in that space that nurtured and fed your dream?
So I think the number one thing that they had going for them that I, as the parent of swimmers, do not have going for me is that they just had no clue.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to come from a place of just like massive support, but not having any opinions, not having arguments with coaches, not having any idea what swimming was or what it looked like or what that path from 8 to 22. It's just all just kind of so it's just out there. It was so esoteric. It didn't make any sense. It wasn't even something to think about. So I was lucky that they had no idea and knew it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the support that I felt from them, Fleet was still is a board run swim club. It's not a coach owned, it's board owned.
Okay.
So parents ran the team. And so my dad was on the board most of the time when I was swimming there. And my mom ran kind of our team gear situation, right? So if you wanted to buy a swim bag or a parka or a suit, you did it through my mom. So they were very, very involved in the swim club, but not the least bit involved in my swimming.
Got you.
So I felt very supported because they were always around and they cared and they got me to practice on time and I was well fed and I was put to bed at the right time, but they had no clue. I mean, up until my last NCAA swim, my dad would still call me and just say, "Hey, swim fast." Like that was it. Swim fast. So I always felt very, very well supported.
That's amazing. That's so what do you pull forward from that? It's so hard because you can't not know what you know now.
It's
impossible.
impossible.
Are both you said both your kids swim?
Yeah.
They're swimming?
They both swim and I coach one of them daily. So it's I think having had that experience makes it easier because I know that they're going to be fine. I don't have to be overbearing. I can bite my tongue and it's going to work out fine.
Yeah.
It's super hard. And like I said, I coach my daughter every day and she is amazing. And it's like a gift she's given me to allow me to be there on deck when she's working her butt off.
That's so cool.
And one day I'll explain that to her, how much that means to me. She's 12 now. She's like, whatever, Dad. But at one point, she'll understand how important that's been to me. My son is not nearly as open to it. So my son quit swimming when he was like 8. He's like, I can't do this anymore. And I was like, all right, dude, I imagine that was really difficult for you to tell me. So it's always there if you want it, but you don't have to swim.
Yeah.
And so, 3 years later, he comes back, Dad, I think I want to get back into swimming. I was like, all right. Let's go.
Yeah. That's just like pausing to acknowledge that because that's so powerful that you're letting, like, it's like our stuff can so easily, it's impossible to take off our filter, but being aware of it and pausing enough for you to say like, okay, yeah, it's his journey. Like let him, like, I'm going to be okay. And it's up to you to decide. Yeah. There's like, especially when we see potential and or we see like it's this emotional connection to a sport that we love and all the gifts that it's given us. Yeah, it's just hard. So naming that's hard. It's not easy to do. You say it as if it may be easy, and maybe it was for you, but I think like as a parent, I'm like, it's hard when like I have a little one and she loves hockey and gymnastics. And gymnastics we went down with her older sister and she ended up, we're like tall humans.
Right.
So
yeah.
It just like wasn't, and it just didn't work out. And that was a hard decision for her to walk away from friends and so much time. And so I'm like wanting to curb this. I'm like wanting to get ahead and be like, no, steer this way. And it's like, I've got to just get out of her way and let her make her decisions on her own, in her own time. It's not easy to do. Yeah.
It's impossible. And so I don't want to give anybody the idea that any of this is easy in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that you get enough chances at it, right? Like, so maybe I messed up the first time I had that conversation with my kid about him not wanting to swim. And maybe there was a look on my face and I didn't even realize he was trying to not swim anymore, right? It's entirely possible. But eventually it got to the point where he straight looked at me and said, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore. And I said, fine.
Yeah.
So, but like, I know I'm sure I have a blind spot that I might have missed him signaling that to me along the way that I probably missed.
Totally.
But as long as I catch it at the end and he knows that like my love for him is not tied to any sport, much less the sport I did, I think we're probably okay.
That's so beautiful. And that is like, so when I am like one of my mentors, she doesn't even know it, but I read her books. I watch her, like I'm in her workshops. It's Dr. Becky. I don't know if you follow her online. I love her stuff. It's as I have what she calls DFK, is a deeply feeling kid. And just, anyways, long story short, what she talks about is the importance of repair, which is that's it. Like, we're going to mess up. Like, we're not going to get it right all the time. And I think naming that is so important, because when we do, that like shame around not getting it right can keep us stuck, and then we don't ever repair and we lose the opportunity for that second chance. So that's so powerful. Yeah. I really appreciate that. And then the second thing you said, which is explicitly telling our kids that they're enough and that we love them, period. Like, I did a workshop with a group of, so it was 3 different women's sports in college. So 3 different sports, they were all together. And at the end they asked like, what's the one thing? And I'm like, you're kidding, you're killing me. We just did 90 minutes. You're telling me to boil it down to one thing that I would tell my girls. So they asked me like, what would you tell your daughters? And it's that, like, you are enough as you are, period. And the room, you could just feel it. And so I think we're busy with our lives, and we almost assume that it's known as parents, but like taking the time to explicitly communicate exactly what you said, I love you, whether you do sport or not, right, is so important, because our actions might be saying otherwise in other places. So, yeah.
You just said everything that was going through my head when you were talking, you hit every point, right? The idea that it feels obvious to you as the parent, but it probably does need to be said. And I agree 100%.
Yeah, no, so good. So those gifts that not knowing, same with my parents, they had no idea. My mom would be like, great job. I'm like, I just added 5 seconds. Like,
right.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, no. Anyways, so that bringing that in and letting them drive, creating space. So take us to your ramping up, like when you started to compete. I mean, you competed on a world stage, you competed in Sydney, you won medal, like this whole experience. And then not only that, I think like that experience is amazing, being part of the Olympic team. And also, I don't want to speak for you, but winning a national championship with the college team is like incredible. So so take us to the top of your podium moments. There are many.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, like I would say I was fortunate in that I was never the best swimmer on my team at any level along the way. The club team I swam at was stacked in like my age group of boys. We all swam different events, but when I was 12 at state, I didn't win anything, and my best friend was winning state titles and breaking state records. When I was, freshman, sophomore year in high school, I was destroying myself trying to get an Olympic trials cut in a mile that never happened, while my other best friend was finaling in the 400 IM as a 16-year-old at trials. Yeah. So like there's all this like measurement, but not direct measurement, because I didn't swim these same events.
Yeah. So take us there though, because that I'm thinking of like the young people, even parents, as you're watching, and there is this like, now you got Meet Mobile. I mean, you got way more metrics.
Oh my God.
So much easier.
Crazy.
So how did you keep connecting back to your process and your journey? Like what helped you there?
I think it was coaches, right? I think I was very fortunate to I swam for the same club my whole life, and I had, between the ages of 11 and 18, I had 2 coaches. So it was consistency in coaching, and also like the support from my parents was a big deal. Like, if I got out of a race, good or bad, they were there. There wasn't any like rewards attributed to swimming well, although my dad tried it once. It was hilarious. And there wasn't certainly no punishment or eyebrows raised for bad swims. It was just like, everything's gonna be fine. Just keep working. And also, like, I don't know what size I was when I was 11, but from 11 to 18, I probably grew like 1.5 feet and put on 70 pounds, right? So it's so much easier for boys than it is for girls because we're likely going to get bigger, stronger, faster without doing anything.
Yeah.
And like I'm on the right end of the bell curve for bigger, stronger, faster. I'm a big guy. I got big at the right times. Aging up wasn't difficult because I was always hitting those ages at the right times in my growth. And I had coaches that understood that, sure, you're a distance swimmer at age 13. Let's have fun with that. But then I had a great talk with my coach the day I missed trials for the last time in 96, explaining, look, dude, this isn't what you're going to swim the rest of your life. Like,
when you're 16, you were like mile was your thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. State record. So when I finally got fast, it was in the mile, the 1,000, the 500, the 400. Those were the state records I held growing up.
Okay.
But I was never like at the top of a national age group list, ever until literally I was 17. So and it was like an off event. Like it was kind of weird, right? Like so you end up getting to the spot where you're like, I don't even swim 200 back. This doesn't make any sense, but fine. So, So, and then high school swimming in Texas was huge. So I swam, these same guys who I was competing with from the ages of 11 on were also on my high school team. We won a state title when I was a sophomore.
Oh, cool.
We won mythical national titles, which is like swimming world.
Oh, I'm very familiar with bowls.
Yeah.
I work with bowls and support them. Yeah. They're aware of that.
Right.
Yeah, the
so
mythical national title.
We lost state my junior and senior year, but won mythicals because we were so top heavy.
Yeah.
So it was like, that was fun. I mean, it was just fun.
Totally.
These were guys, the one guy was actually on that soccer team when I was 4. Okay.
Cool.
And then we swam up through the age of 18 together.
Yeah.
The other one I met first day at Fleet at our club swimming program. I met him the first day and like moved all the way up together. So it was like,
there's such a sounds like just a strong sense of community and connection. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, swimming is impossible, and getting to the practice and being happy to see people or being excited for the ride there and the ride home, like makes it a lot more enjoyable. And I think all those guys and girls I swam with, I think would say we were lucky to have each other.
That's so cool. Yeah. Beautiful. So you go, you swim, you're competing. Texas comes in now. Recruiting is not even what it was back in the
it's
day.
so crazy.
So different.
Well, to your point earlier about me being a miler when I was 16, if I was being recruited the summer between my sophomore and junior years of high school, I would have been a miler in college. Like, how does that change? And then Nate Dusing was on our Olympic team, and I swam with Texas. Yeah. He didn't sign until April of his senior year of high school.
No, okay. We need people to hear that. That's incredible. Really. Yeah. And there's still
we need coaches to hear that, right? Like,
parents.
He ended up being high school swimmer of the year.
Yeah.
Our senior year, and he didn't sign until April
of his senior year. Yeah, there's so much pressure too, right? I mean, I feel it as a parent now with my daughter. Like she's going into, so she's young, going into young for her, like the birth years and all the things that go into this, like all the things that I'm learning as I go. 'Cause swimming, it was like metrics. You just win a time and you're, stacking up.
So subjective. Objective, rather. Sorry.
Objective, yeah. And then so anyway, she's going into 10th grade, but as young. And so it's like, does she get that extra year? Does she do this and then go into because it starts like one more year and you're just like, holy cow. If that was the case, I was in like, that was the summer I was ready to quit swimming, like just walk away from it because I was in a bad coaching situation. So yeah, it's wild. So when did you do the junior year or senior year fall commit to Texas? Did you know you were going there? Yeah.
I did. Yeah. I took trips to Michigan, Stanford, Texas, Auburn, and Tennessee. But by the time I was doing those things, like I knew I wanted to swim for Ed and Chris. And also like, it's funny, like you think your whole life you want to get away from home and you can't wait to leave. And then when the rubber met the road, I was like, 3-hour drive is doable. They're not going to be here all the time, and I can still go home when I need them. And it worked out really well for me.
That's amazing. So yeah, I mean, you end up and when I was looking up your bio, I'll get that formally from you to introduce you properly for this. And I didn't recognize that you were inducted into the Hall of Fame. So congrats on that one. Yeah. The swimming. No, that's a big deal. And that's we're talking. Yeah. Why are you brushing that off?
I'm not. I don't mean to. The Texas Swimming Hall of Fame. So there's the Texas Swimming Hall of Fame, which is the state of Texas and its swimming, and then there's the University of Texas Swimming Frank Urban Award, which is like a Hall of Fame on that. And it's like all these different things. And then there's also the Texas Hall of Honor, which you basically have to like be Brendan or Aaron to get invited to.
Got it.
It's like the standard they hold swimmers to. And I'm not saying this on my behalf. I'm saying this because I'm not even sure if it's public, but somebody just recently finally heard they're going to be put in the Hall of Honor.
Yeah.
20 years later, and it's like a joke. If you put his standards, the things he did in the sport versus like whatever the most recent baseball player who got put in,
Got
it's
you.
like, I mean, come on, this isn't really like a comparison.
Yeah.
But
so the standard of excellence, well, I mean, and in part, like y'all set that standard because you were, right?
It is our own fault. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, what was it like? So speak into what do you think made it, like what, and maybe one or two things that come to mind. I'm sure that it's many more than that, but what made it so special? Like what made swimming there and swimming with Eddie and what you all were able to create and still living today? Like, I mean, it's still exists.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What I tell people all the time is that like the X's and O's of coaching, I think are like the price of entry for coaches. Like they all have the X's and O's. Everybody knows how it's supposed to be done, and most of them know how to get you there, right?
Yeah.
But it's around building trust in the coach, and then also building an environment and a culture around the program that truly gets the most out of everyone, and not just like a certain kind of kid, but like hopefully every kind of kid.
Yeah.
And Ed and Chris, Ed Reese and Chris Kubik did a very good job of that. Like they understood that, if they built a family around this group, then what they were asking us to do every day would be a little bit more tolerable, I think. And Ed used to always say, like, take care of yourself, take care of each other, the rest takes care of itself. And I those are words to live by for me.
Yeah. You carry that into your coaching.
Yeah, for sure. And like, and at home, right? Like, it's the same thing. Like, if I don't take care of myself, there's no way I can be the right kind of parent or husband. So take care of myself, take care of everybody else. Everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yeah. Anything else you want to share about your experience and what you learned from that you've pulled into? Like the perspective you gained by being part of these teams and having these experiences. Swimming was a vehicle that took you to the top of podiums and also around the world. Yeah, that you want to.
Man, I don't know. I think that teams and team building is a really impossible topic to really like get into in a short time period, right? So like, I swam against people who outside of the college framework were my biggest competitors. Yeah. Every day I, bumped heads with the guys who I would be competing with for Olympic slots. Yeah. And so that was really, really hard. The fact that, I was sitting in a ready room in Indianapolis with, 7 other guys, 3 of whom I trained with almost every day, and 2 of whom were my year at Texas. Yeah. It's not that they happened to swim at Texas. It's that I've spent the last 4 years of my life with them. And sitting there thinking, okay, 6 of us are going to get to go probably. There's 8 people here. There's 4 of us. That math doesn't work. Yeah. So how are we going to do it? Yeah. And I'm sitting there next to Nate, and Nate starts singing just this random song. And we're sitting there just like being really silly 20-year-olds. Yeah. And it's like, okay, we're going to be okay. And all 4 of us made it. And that just kind of like, all right, fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Unreal.
It's a miracle. It's so crazy. And looking back on it, like I have so many mixed emotions on the whole thing, but but I think like understanding those relationships between people and how difficult they are and being able to see when people need a break. Ed was great at that. Ed was like, okay, fine, Jamie, go train backstroke today. Or you'd throw Scott Goldblatt in with the more mile focused guys instead of the middle distance guys. And so he could tell that it wasn't always easy. The results were worth it, but he needed to separate us from time to time. And I think that's the mastery of coaching at that level of people that age with all the egos and insecurities that come along with it. Totally. And that's what Ed and Chris did better than anybody else, I think.
That's so beautiful. And it takes like, yeah, like you're talking about the foundation, the X's and O's, like for some amount of cognitive resources just to do that, that there's not a lot of leftover bandwidth
Right.
for being able to, but I think that the human connection you're bringing in that's the magic, magic maker right there, that ability to connect, to see the people that are in front of you. And also, he was seeing all of you. So it sounded like it wasn't just like, one or two with the focus on these two and then the rest where you're kind of just left to it, but preparing you all for
No, I
what was
mean,
to come.
we had kids that came in who walked on, who swam all 4 years and made big differences on the team.
Mm-hmm.
We had kids who were 100 backstrokers, and we had kids who were 50 freestylers. You had a whole team of people with different needs and different backgrounds and different goals. Because even at that level, like swimming didn't mean to everybody what it meant to me, And
Totally.
you think that by the time you get to the college level, competing for NCAA championships, like it still doesn't mean that it's still something different to everybody, I guess is my point, right?
Yep. And knowing the person. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's amazing. So you transition, and did you know you were like, when you finished and retired, did you know you wanted to go into coaching?
I didn't. No.
You didn't
I wanted to get as far from the sport
from swimming
and coaching. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember I was on the board of directors for USA Swimming for a number of years after I quit swimming, and I don't remember, it was just having a conversation with somebody about coaching, and I was like, there is no way I will ever coach.
So you can't say that. See, whenever you say I'm never going to do something, that's what I was like, I'll never let my kids play hockey. Yeah. I'm never going to have 4 kids like my mom. Oh my goodness. Anyways, yeah. So there you go.
Well, that day, Mark Schubert looked at me and said, never say never.
Never say never.
Here I am 20 years later coaching 11 to 14-year-olds. But so I was in finance for, my adult life up until 8 years ago. So moved to Chicago, finance job, met my wife here, went back, got my MBA, got another finance job, and it just was getting kind of like soul crushing. I don't know. It wasn't my thing. I was went to the University of Texas, business school made sense. Just kind of following this track that made sense, but wasn't something I was passionate about.
Yeah.
And I was lucky that my wife has a job that she is super passionate about. Cool. And so as her job started getting bigger and our kids needed to be more places at once, I stopped working. So I was a stay-at-home dad. And that allowed time to really look into these like ideas of swimming. I had some triathlon friends who just could not swim. So I started teaching swim lessons. Yeah. And then started coaching triathlon, like all 3 sports, with a buddy of mine who was my coach. And, you're pretty good at this stuff. I think you understand how it works. How would you like to coach? Like, well, I think I have some clients I could get pretty quickly. And I think it'd be fun. So started doing that.
Was that point though? Were you doing, because you were also like add in title Ironman, like not just once, but like, were you competing at that point, or this was like your foray in was through coaching, and then you started?
I was running marathons and ultra marathons, and then a guy who I know saw me literally on the Chicago Marathon course. Was like, Jamie, you should do a triathlon. I'm like, so I called him after the race, and he promised he would train me for a couple marathons, at least 2 cycles through Boston before he would talk to me about triathlon. Okay. So I was only running. I was running at a kind of a stupid high level. It took like running for me to realize I was an athlete. You know what I mean? Like swimming, like you discount your athleticism as a swimmer because ball sports are so dominant, and puck sports for you. Yeah. But then you realize you start applying yourself in other places. You're like, oh wait, there were some tools here that I had that are not discountable. That it actually makes sense. So I started running, and then he talked me into triathlon, and then I started coaching shortly thereafter.
Okay. And you went right. Did you jump from nothing to Ironman level, or did you go? Did you get some Olympic sized triathlons?
Oh no, I've never done Olympic sized triathlon.
No, you haven't. Oh wow.
You know what? Okay. It's just the wrong kind of pain for me. I did enough of that, like sprinting until you fall over. Oh. Yeah, like
good. It really does embody that 200 meter free energy zone, right? Yeah, that's funny. So it's more like mile or back to your roots.
Yeah, back to like something I can like do for a long time and just like wear everybody down through attrition, right? Like it's just a completely different vibe. So I did a couple 70.3s, then I did a couple Ironmans, and then
that is impressive. Like that's just it was on my bucket list, and then I had 4 kids, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
All right.
No, I'm
Well, it
not doing that.
requires time that I was fortunate to have. And
Yeah.
but when people think about Ironman, like with a half Ironman, you can cut it into pieces, then everything makes sense. Like, oh,
Mhm.
1.2 mile swim, that's reasonable. Like
Mhm.
56 mile bike, that's longer than I want to be on a bike. That makes sense. And then a half marathon, most people I know have done a half marathon. And you put it all together, it's like, oh, I can do these things. Whereas everything in an Ironman seems stupid.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's a bad idea. I don't want to do any of
And
those
running
things.
that after
Yeah,
that and that,
right.
like, oh.
Well,
Yeah.
that's my favorite joke. Is there's nothing that makes you want to run a marathon more than getting off a bike after 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
Is that
I would
is
love
that
to
how-
run a marathon right now. Let's do
Okay.
it.
Got you. So, well, and what is, so in that process, like the learning, I'm sure that's a lot of time alone with yourself too, and training.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
what have you extracted or pulled from that experience that you maybe even pull
Oh.
into how you show up? Like, what did you learn about yourself or have learned about yourself through the tries?
Well, I think like that singular mindset and kind of have like a bettering mindset. I don't know. It's like the idea that I like having things that I can set a plan for and get better at.
Mm-hmm.
And life isn't typically that way. So the fact that I can find an outlet where it is exactly that way
Yeah.
makes the rest of life a little bit easier to deal with.
Yeah.
There's
Makes sense.
so many parts of life where you have to hang on pretty loosely. Otherwise, it just falls apart.
Mhm.
Whereas triathlon, I can hold on as tight as I want, and I can get better at it, and I can feel that, and it just that certainty and that accomplishment feels really good.
That's so I'm pausing too for not, if people are inspired to start training for an Ironman, like we support that. And also
Yeah.
the parent that's just like that idea of even lifting. So I started a new workout program that I'm loving, and there's an option of like 30 to 60 minutes, which just fits. It's
Yeah.
like gives me that flexibility, but doing it's the outlet. And not only physically you feel better, but that mental, there's like structure to it, the control piece to it, and then how
For
you
sure.
feel good physically. So yeah, you're naming something I didn't realize was actually happening for me in workout.
Yeah, there's so
Yeah.
much in your life that you
Love
can't
it.
control,
Yeah.
no matter how hard you try, and this is controllable.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay. And when it comes to, so what does your current relationship to sport look like? So we know that your kids are involved in sport. So we got
Yep.
sports dad on there as a hat. What are your other connection points to sport?
And then I still coach a handful of triathlon clients,
Okay.
which is super fun. And then I'm a volunteer assistant club swimming coach,
Got you.
which is like so much fun. I coach
So-
11 to 14-year-olds every day. It's really, really rewarding.
That's an awesome age group. People run from that age group. And I say that's like, there's such brilliance in there, that tween all the way through high school. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to show you when the light bulb goes off. You know what I mean? Like teenagers, you tell them something, and even if it sinks in and they think it's like a good idea, they won't let you know.
No.
Selfishly, I like it when those 11 to 14-year-olds like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, and then they go apply it right away. You're like, yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about.
That's it. I love that. Yeah. So what would you say, we're going to way overgeneralize, but from your vantage point with kind of pulling all the threads of your past experiences and perspective, what are we missing as parents? Like when we talk about being in alignment to support the development of our kids and helping them thrive, where are we missing or falling short or getting in the way?
Oh man, this is a huge generalization, and
Yeah.
it's probably because I've been lucky with people I've worked with, but I think parents need to do a little better job of making the assumption that the people that they are paying money to coach their kids care a lot about their kids.
Yeah.
And it's not that they care about the fastest kid or the highest performing kid. They care about all the kids, and they're trying to get everybody better. So I think a lot of parents really don't realize how a lot of these coaches live and die on a daily basis by how their kids they train are doing in life. And I think it's I'm sure it's the same thing for educators, right? Like parents maybe don't understand the buy-in on the coaching side.
Mm-hmm.
They really do care about your kids.
Yeah. And that goes back. Well, Brene Brown's from your area. I don't know if you're a fan of her work or not, but I know she's from right where you grew up. heard the big BIG, so boundaries, integrity, like living big, and then the G is gift of generosity.
Yeah.
And that is like that assumption, like that lens of assuming that people are doing the best that they can with the tools and resources that they have, and assuming best intent. And so I think that's an easy one to lose touch of, for sure, especially when we get activated. Yeah.
And for both sides, right? I think coaches could do well to, after they have an emotional response to a conversation they've had with a parent, also step back and say, all right, at the core of this issue is this person just trying to do right by their kids.
Yeah.
They might be approaching it wrong, but how can you kind of de-escalate and get on the same page? Because both of you, at the end of the day, want the best for that kid. And so I think that's a challenge for both parents and coaches.
Yeah, I think that's so well said. And that when you're able to pause and actually connect on what you're sharing in common, which is the development of this young person that's in front of you, then it's the approach. And being able to come out of that fight flight, like being able to come out of this, like this is happening to me, or I'm feeling attacked in this kind of defensive mode. Yeah, I think that because I think that's what fuels. So part of why I started the space is because of the comments that are, and the memes that are out there, like either like mostly I feel like the pendulum swung. So it's all on parents now. Like sports parents are crazy. We're psycho. We're the problem. Like let coaches do what they're doing. And then it's like coaches are the problem. And so this constant noise, whereas like we're missing coming together for what we're actually there for, which is the kid. So pausing and being able to enter that space is so powerful. Yes. And remembering why we're doing it and coming out of that, like, which takes regulation and maybe lifting some heavy weights or doing whatever it is we need to do to ground ourselves and feel a sense of control. Because I think that piece right there is like, we feel a lack of control, like wanting our kid to do well or not wanting to see them struggle or whatever it might be. And then it just like was kind of grappling for control in places that we don't have it coming at the coach. Yeah.
I mean, and that's like, that's exactly where the interests of the parent and the coach dovetail, right? Is neither of us have any control over what that kid's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like we try to set them up for success, but we have no control over it whatsoever.
I think that's what's so terrifying about parenting is like the older they get, the more you're like, oh wow, this whole process since you were born is just me letting go and letting go some more and letting go some more. It's not easy. Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah. Where do you see where do you see us getting it right? And again, generalizations, but things that you see parents are doing well, or places and spaces where like, let's do more of that.
So from my standpoint, I see team building, whether people know it or not, is going like very well, right? So like I only have this swimming lens, right? So it's a super individual sport. At the club level, it's hyper individual. There's not a lot of club accolades that go around, and they kind of don't seem like they matter that much. So the building families around that, the support that parents give each other, like just like something simple like carpooling, like it's like it's such good time for the kids and for the parents. Like you hear a lot when you're driving people around in a car.
Yes.
I think that
it's
parents
like they forget we're there. That's
right.
True.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I see a lot of parents holding each other up in that way, and I think that's great.
That's amazing.
On the flip side, like parents compare their kids to other kids, and that's super hard for parents. But when kids get wind of that, it's way more difficult for the kid. So I think everybody's just kind of trying to do the very best they can, and I think parents, at least at the club that I swim at, do a very good job of realizing when a line's been crossed. Does that make sense? Like for me, like if you mess up, whether it's to a kid with a kid or to a parent with a parent, if you apologize for it, like take responsibility for it, I think that's very powerful for everybody. Like, oh wait, this person knows that line was crossed.
Yes.
I can trust them going forward. Like not necessarily to not make mistakes, but to know when mistakes are made and try to correct them. And that for me is super important in coaching and in parenting. And frankly, like as a husband, right, I mess up all the time. But if I can, if the person on the other side knows that you're doing your best and that you care, that goes a long way.
It's everything, because we're human and we're going to fall. We're going to make mistakes. We're not going to get it right all the time. And so it also plays into this space of creating a container of safety. Because I think I see athletes that are afraid that, like, they're not even consciously aware, but when you kind of sit with it and allow them the space to, it's like this fear that's in the subconscious is revealed of making mistakes because they're going to get in trouble, or there's like this judgment that will happen. And so if it's okay to make mistakes, and I was one of our teammates, so Lindsay and I had a conversation a while back for the podcast, and she was talking about that exact thing of like, they actually celebrate that, like when they fall short of like bringing this to light, and how do you want to grow from it? So if we can actually signal and have the modeling of, oh, okay, like if I fall below the line, I can take ownership for this and make amends and grow and move forward. That does so much, like for the body and the nervous system to say, it's actually, we're safe here and it's okay. It's okay to stretch myself. It's okay to be human. So that's really powerful. And I think for us to reflect on how we respond and react in our own lives when we fall short, and then also when our kids are making mistakes,
For
and
sure.
like what our response is there. Yeah. So, oh my goodness. Okay. So when it comes to your journey now, like focusing on sports dad, what are some of the things that you're like, that are just non-negotiable, important pieces for you that you're bringing in based on what you've learned?
Well, unconditional support's the number one thing. Like, it's just like, I'm there for my kids. It's never my idea, the support. Like, so my son's been playing water polo for a season, right? And he's been needing to work on egg beater. So the kick that you use in order to tread water. It's like as imperative to playing water polo as skating is to hockey, right? You have to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And he wasn't great at it. And I was like, all right, well, I know a guy who could help you with that. I said it once, I let it go. Yeah. And then finally he was playing like some park district polo this summer. Like, Dad, can we go to the gym and work on egg beater a little bit? It's like, yes, absolutely, let's go. Like, but it was his idea, right. So it's like being there, but not like pushing it. Yep. And then with my daughter, it's like that apologizing thing happens with my daughter way more than I would like to admit. Like there's times where I know what her goals are, and I know how disappointed she's going to be if she doesn't get them. Yes. So everything feels so important. And like taking a step back and like, whoa. This is like one practice. If one set or one rep of one set of one practice, like, better. Like, meaning me. I talk to myself. I know better. Totally. I'd be like, look, this is just fine.
Well, there's a woman so my friend Jen, she helps with like curating, like if I say like I'm interviewing Jamie today, like what are some questions to ask him, right? Like she's working behind the scenes. She was my big sis at Michigan. Anyways, long story short, she sends me, most of the time it's not questions, but funny memes that are out there. Yeah. And this woman posted this video of her son playing, he's pitching in a game, and she says, my nervous system does not know the difference between a shark attack and my son on the mound. And I was just like, that's so right. So it. And I think that's the part that's not named and talked about enough. So then we're like left stuck, like, why am I acting the way that I'm acting? Like, what? Like, I know this, I know better. But when we care, and then how much your daughter cares, and we don't want our kids to hurt. And it's like that gripping, exactly what you're talking about with the control piece and needing an outlet so that we're not redirecting it there. Yeah. Yeah. What do you do? What are some ways that you catch yourself? And then when you catch yourself, how do you come back into a more grounded place?
Well, like one of the reasons why I think I like coaching so much instead of just being a sport parent is I can diffuse all that knowledge and information that I have across way more people. So she's not like the only person getting it, right? Like it makes it way easier. So all of the knowledge that I think I have is just being poured over 30 kids at a time instead of just her. Yeah. And then I think this makes sense. Like the thing that I worry about the most with her is that like, and this is like a total swimming brain. Is she too fast too soon? Right? Is she doing too well right now too soon? And the flip side of the coin is, but if she's going to be good, she needs to be good now. And like trying to figure out that balance. Yeah. And that's the balance that helps me with everything else. So if I can't worry about how she is right now, if she's going to have a long like runway or trail in the sport. So it's all about, okay, she's doing well. How do I keep it going? How do I keep it going if she wants it to keep going, right? How do I put her in a situation to succeed if that's what she wants? And that balance is like, that's kind of everything. And then, people will ask, so what's your best advice for my kid to be, good in high school? It's like, well, to have a successful high school swimmer, you need to have a high school swimmer.
Yeah.
So
And
if
have
they
you
don't
seen,
make it there,
yeah, have you
if
seen
they're
the
not
rates
happy,
of dropout, especially in
yeah,
girls? It's like 75%. I
yeah,
don't, that's not exact, but it's around that level of like before they're 13, 14.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. So have them enjoying it. How do you ensure what, and if you feel comfortable, whatever level you feel comfortable sharing, um, because it's y'all's journey, right? Of
yeah.
like, what are some checkpoints that you like, how do you know, like, what are you looking for? And, to make sure and pulse check if she's still enjoying it. And like that line of two, like, when is it too much? That is the question, I think, for all of us. And it's not going to be the same answer because every kid is different, right? And
Right.
all of our values as each family's values are not identical too. Yeah. But what do you, how do you look,
Well,
how do you know?
I
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
I ask her before every season. I'm like, is this still cool? Is this
Yeah.
something you're into? Because I can coach a lot of other kids besides
Mhm.
you, and
Yeah.
I don't have to be on deck when you're there. I know that I can coach at the club that you're on and coach groups that you're not involved in.
Mhm.
It's very easy. And it's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, no, I want you on deck. All right, cool. Just so you know, if you
Yeah.
ever feel the opposite, please let me know.
Yeah.
And there's been days in the pool where she's like, I would like it if you talk to somebody else the rest of practice.
Yeah.
like, well,
Yeah.
it's not like I'm only talking to her, but she's like, I am done with you today. I was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
We can not talk about it until we get in the car if you want.
That's so
And it's,
beautiful that she can ask for that though. Yeah, that's
well,
important. Yeah.
I've given her the opportunity and she takes the opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's like, we have a good understanding there.
Yeah.
And then like, she has her state meet next week. And so whenever we're walking into a big meet, I look at her and I say, look, if you need dad instead of coach at any point,
Yeah.
just let me know.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, and fist bump, and that's it. And then it's only happened once where she's like, I need dad right now. It's like, all right, let's go. We get off deck and we have that conversation
Yeah.
away from everybody else so that it is like, first of all, so I can hug her. Like I'm so worried about any form of physical love
Mhm.
on deck. It's like it's swimming. First of all, swimming's history, whatever. But like also like just I don't want to like single her out, and I don't want the other kids to feel weird. And it's like that's my daughter, and so
Yeah.
we do that away. Like she's like, I need a hug. I'm hurting. Like all right, let's go outside for a while, and we'll deal with it.
Yeah. That's
So
so
we do a
beautiful
really
too.
good job. But it's like just checking in constantly, and trusting her.
Yep. And well, in giving her agency. And I think there's a lot of overlap. Like most of our youth coaches are also parents and
Yeah.
like, right. All the way. I mean, even through like my daughter's high school team this past year was a dad. Like, and so that ability for you to articulate. So if you're coaching and parenting at the same time, like being able to offer that opportunity for them to say, hey, I need dad now. Yeah. That's so powerful. Or mom now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say, what has sport parenting taught you? Like what's been one of the things that you've maybe struggled with and have had to learn how to do better? That taught you about yourself, really.
Well, I think like it's informed the parenting in other aspects, right? Like not putting my expectations or mapping what I think is important onto my child to a level that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
So, and that kind of goes back to like sport doesn't have to be the end all be all for every single person the way it was for me.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that, I definitely could have afforded to be a little more balanced in my approach to life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think that's like the number one thing is making
Yeah.
sure that I'm not trying to live vicariously through my kids, whether it's like with grades or school or swimming or anything else. And I think it's like, it's completely reasonable, particularly if you're trying to measure how you're doing as a parent, right? And happiness isn't super tangible.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can say that I really just want my kids to be happy, kind human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And those are ideas that are out there and you kind of know what they mean, but if they're making good grades, if they're doing well in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really easy, I think, to fall into a trap of judging how you're doing as a parent by how successful your kids are in the classroom or in sports, when in fact, there's so much more to that person than school and, in my case, swimming or water polo.
Oh my gosh. That's so powerful. I'm like digesting what you just said there because that brings to life something that I've been able to name, like we're not our performances just because our kids are performing well. Like we're not our, like their worth isn't wrapped up in the grades or in the times or in whatever accolades. With this idea of like it's hard to measure, it's easy to measure, so therefore it's like we're drawn to that,
Yeah.
and it's an easy. That's so powerful, and that help, you know. So in these moments, like when you're sharing that, it's like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like that makes sense with our human brains and how we're wired, and it's like so clear cut there that makes sense, can be the door that opens to compassion for us to go, okay, hold on, actually, how is my kid really doing? Like how are they really doing, and how are all the other dimensions and parts of them? And so I just love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's so
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah. And
I hope
checking
so.
in.
I mean, it works most of the time. I don't know.
Well, there's no such thing as perfect parenting. And swimming,
not.
like, though my foray into team sports is like a whole other level. I'm challenged because I'm like, what the heck? How does anyone measure anything here? I have no
Right.
idea. Like some
Yeah.
stats, yeah, but like it's a whole thing. And so in many ways it's a blessing because I can't go look at times and stats.
Yeah.
It's thrown out. So yeah, so my like I struggle. What do you ask the question? Do you have fun? I struggle with that one. I've been reflective on that because I'm like sometimes it's not so much fun. But I've been asking, is it like looking for patterns of is there more joy than stress? And
Right.
kind of in that frame. But yeah, what's a car ride home sound like with you?
Well, especially as you get older in swimming, right? Like it gets like to be a lot less fun pretty quickly. Like it's the question of, is it worth it? Like,
Yes,
is
that's it.
what you're doing every day worth it? And
Yeah.
as a parent, I can see value differently than my child can. My child sees value as how they swim at the next meet. For me, having been a swimmer, I can see the value that delayed gratification can be across your life, right? Working towards a goal for a long period of time, having a full season to work toward a goal, and then see that goal either be achieved or fall short of, and understanding that falling short of that goal is in and of itself a success. Like the fact that you cared enough about something to work for it for 9 months, that's a big deal. But they're just like, all right, I worked really hard. I had this meet. Now what? And so I think that's like, I can see in both my kids when they're having fun.
Yeah.
And when my son comes home from water polo practice and he talks my ear off for like 20 minutes when it's like pulling teeth usually.
Yes.
It's like, oh, this is something he really loves.
It's so true. That's it. Like my friend Amanda said, my 16-year-old son like started to talk my face off on the way home, no headphones. Like,
well, she said that in your podcast too,
yes,
and I was like,
yes.
oh yeah, I totally get that.
So funny, like bouncing off the wall. My daughter, her hockey practice was so late. It was like 10 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, we need to go to bed. But like,
I am exhausted. I don't know how you're still moving.
Like so energized by this, which is cool. Yeah. So you're looking for not even what they're saying, but just their like how they're behaving, how they're showing up.
And with my daughter, it's like she'll come home from practice and she'll go to my wife and start spitting out like reps and intervals. My wife's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds great. Like it's just so as long as those moments keep happening along the way, and also like my daughter is just a badass, and I love like she's a great example in her mother, who's a badass. In a male-dominated field, my wife dominates. Like she's awesome, and she sees my daughter. I can sees that example and is able to merge that with what I accomplished, and like she's like taking all of it together. And she just you see her walk on deck, and she's just like, "Yep, I'm here. Have fun."
That makes me so happy. That's it. It's like the best parts of us as parents, and then you get
which
to
aren't the parts you always see, right? When I look at my kids, a lot of the time, I'm like, oh my god, that's my fault, and it's like, so to see some positive ones, that's way better.
Yeah, that's way actually true. I'm sorry. Well, I'll get really good at repair. I'll teach you that. Yeah. So, oh my goodness. Oh, so all right, we've done this. I really could talk to you forever about this and this journey, and it's just, there is no playbook, right? There is no right way, but the nuggets that you've shared today, I mean, I'm even reflecting on them, and then I love listening back. Where, if people want to be in touch with you, is that okay? Like for them to be able to reach out and connect, and then also for those that are listening, like, okay, to be coached by an Olympic swimmer and triathlon, like I want to. Are you taking on clients there? Yeah. So talk to us about where people can find you and how they can be in touch with you and maybe even work with you.
I think Instagram is the best way. I'm Jamie Rauch on Instagram. It's really easy to find me. I don't post hardly ever, but I'm on there enough.
Yeah.
That works. And then, yeah, if you want to put my email in the notes too, that's fine.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
always,
Yeah.
I love talking about this kind of stuff. And I think what's really cool about, I mean, I don't know, like you and I haven't seen or talked to each other in 20 years,
Yeah.
but I've been interacting with your Instagram for a while now. And I think it's just like the approach you have to it and the humility you have around all of this, and me knowing your experience as an athlete and then seeing your, oh wow, Sam knows what she's talking about. This is a person who I want to definitely get back in touch with. So this has been
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, thank you. No, I'm so excited. But at some point, I'm sure we'll be traveling to Chicago because hockey is such a
Right?
big thing there too.
Or at least
Yeah.
the suburbs, right? Like
Yeah.
you'll be out in Aurora somewhere with like 3 rinks under the same roof, I'm sure.
My goodness, yeah. Oh, and then I had, yeah. So I'm sure, hopefully, paths cross. And I didn't realize that you were on the board for USA Swimming for a
Oh,
little
a long
time
time
there.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a mess.
Yeah. We've got work to do there.
Well,
So
it's just so many stakeholders, right? You think this is not have anything to do with this podcast at all, but you're talking about coaches, parents, and swimmers.
yeah,
At that level, you've got officials, coaches, non-official volunteers, and then swimmers also. But like, we all tend to lose track of like this is about the swimmers. So
about centering the athlete. Well, I think that is like been the through line is centering the kids' experience and the kids themselves. So, and as adults, getting out of the way, offering where we can. So,
yeah,
okay, thank you so much. We'll end here and we'll be in touch for sure. Okay, take
absolutely.
care, Jamie.
Thanks.